Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs are locked in. That's what I've heard from several sources, people connected to the program, people who are watching practice, people who are in the know have told me this group is focused, they're locked in, they're ready to go. They know the challenge they have ahead of them in just a few short days in Tuscaloosa. The entire college football world will be watching this game, and Kirby Smart had something similar to say to reporters this week. I'm going to talk all about that. Kirby Smart had a lot to say about Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, Jalen Milroe. I kind of talked a little bit about that already in another video. But this week, he talked about how spirited practice was. This is what he had to say when asked about practice yesterday. He said, it's good. You don't ever have to worry about them at all this week. You've got to be careful not to leave it all out there on the practice field. That's probably the biggest thing, is holding guys back and making sure they don't overdo it. Spirited, get after practice. That's the type of practice they're having. Like I said, when you get into these SEC rivalry games, it's not a motivation issue. This is not a rivalry game, but it's a big game. It is a massive game. It's a game everyone watches. It's a game that Georgia needs to start winning more of. Yes, they beat Alabama in the national championship game, but before that, you got to go to 2007. Before that, 2002. So Georgia's won over there before, but that was a different era of Georgia football. Kirby's got to get it done a little more often. They've got a big opportunity in front of them, and I think coming off that, ugly win against Kentucky on the road, their first true road environment, just winning by 1 point. The offense wasn't great. There's a lot they've got to fix, and I do think, I've been told, right, that they have been working hard on that. They're looking themselves in the mirror, and they say, hey, that was a full four-quarter game against Kentucky. We're going to see a lot better teams than that. What type of team are we? What type of team are we? We need to get it together, because it is going to be a very, very challenging game against Alabama. And he went on to talk about a lot of other different aspects. But for me, it really does all come down to Carson Beck and Mike Bobo. How many can they get to the 30-point mark? I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Georgia's defense is elite. Alabama's defense is very good. Mike Bobo, Carson Beck, there's a lot of pressure on those guys in this game. I mean, to not say so, I think is kind of ridiculous. Carson Beck was talking about, how one of his goals was to win the Heisman. This is a game where you need to go out and play a lot better than you did against Kentucky. And, Dylan Fairchild, Kirby Smart, they said this week to reporters, talking about his poise and his calmness in the pocket, his confidence. He is an incredibly confident kid. There's no doubt about it. The moment is not too big for Carson Beck. He thought he was better than Stetson Bennett in 2020, 2021, and 2022. This kid has always believed in himself and his arm talent, and we've seen it, right? He's made some NFL throws. In fact, he made several NFL throws against Kentucky. He's going to have a massive game. Everyone watching, again, it's Saturday night, right? The biggest game. Everyone, college football is going to be watching the NFL. He's got a chance, if he has a big game, to really, get back into that Heisman race that I don't think he's in right now. But I continue to hear how he knows how big this game is, not only for the team, but for him. And Mike Bobo, the game plan that he has to put together needs to be a good one, right? They certainly had their struggles against Alabama in the SEC title game last year. They got off to a great start, opening drive touchdown, if I remember correctly, right? They didn't make the adjustments. Alabama made the adjustments on defense and won the game from there. And it was a real struggle for Georgia. They need to. It's up to Mike to make that game plan that his players can execute at a high level, and they got to get off to a fast start. And I think that's something they are trying to do behind the scenes in practice. I've been told, hey, it is going to be a four-quarter game, but you need to get those points early. Those drives that you kind of simulate in practice and draw up, these are going to be the first 7, 8, 10 to 12 plays that we're running in the game. Those need to be good ones, and then you have to adjust off that. Okay, this particular play didn't work. How do we change it a little bit or tweak it, right? To where you're not just completely erasing everything on the drawing board and starting scratch at the half. You have to adjust to your plan. If it doesn't work in the beginning, make those adjustments. Carson's got to make the throws, but it is going to be a crazy tough environment. There's no doubt about it. But he's, played in big road games before. He had no problem going up to Neyland Stadium, throwing for just about 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against Tennessee. Come from behind, win over Auburn. Wasn't the best game he's ever played against Kentucky, but I don't think the environment is, the only thing the environment's going to do is disrupt communication, right? And possible execution. It's not going to rattle these guys. Kirby Smart went on to talk about the assessment of the tight end room. That's another position where Georgia's got to play better. They need more from Oscar. They need more from Austin Lucky. Brock Bowers is not walking through that door. They wish he could, because this would be a Brock Bowers type of game. Get the ball to him as much as possible. He's not there, but the other guys still have to step up. He said, we've got good depth at that position. Oscar has been a little in and out, beat up. He's practicing now, and he's back. Lawson Lucky obviously went through the injuries this year. Ben Yursick is coming, giving us a really thick body type that can make some plays. And the two young guys are getting there. Those guys have filled in nicely. We haven't asked them to do a lot yet, but yada, yada, yada. Those guys aren't playing. Oscar's got to play better. Lawson Lucky's got to play better. Ben Yursick probably shouldn't be out there unless that guy gets a lot better, knows how to block an SEC defender. That was ugly at times for him against Kentucky. Someone asked her, what do you do in the bye week? And he had a really interesting comment. But first, because I'm going to forget, I can't forget, collegebronze.com. That's when you get the #1 Georgia Bulldog statue on the market. There's nothing like this guy right here. He's the best looking. I'm telling you right now, this is the only place where you can get a discount. Promo code DOGPOST, DAWGPOST. Don't miss out on the discount. All the information is in the description below in this video. Get yours today. Handcrafted in Roswell, Georgia. Local small business. Get yours today. He said, well, what do you do in the bye week? You go back and look at yourself. You look back and you look and you do quality control. You look to find tendency breakers. You try to find new wrinkles. You try to really get better at blocking and tackling. That's what football is about. That's what we focused on, was that. How do we get better as an entire team, even the younger part of our team? So what is the focus of the bye week? That's it. Just getting better. A lot of coach speak there. And you can read all of this over on Blog Post for free. We get the transcript from Kirby. We're there in the press conferences. We're there in the stadium. So this is the place to go for your Georgia Bulldog team. And recruiting information, there could be some good news on the recruiting trail coming Georgia's way soon. For more on that, make sure you're staying up to date on the website and on this YouTube channel. Kirby Smart talked a little bit about Alabama's defense. Again, how many points does Georgia need to get to win the game? 34? Is it just 30? I'm starting to think it could be another 28-24 type of game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring first half. We'll see a little more points in the second half when adjustments are made on both ends. And guys just get used to the game. It's going to be a hard-hitting, physical game, too. It could be a chess match, but Georgia's going to need their best, not only from the players, from an execution standpoint, but from the coaches as well, putting them in the best position to make the plays that they're going to need to make down the stretch, especially on 3rd down and 4th down. They're going to have to win in the trenches, something they didn't really do against Kentucky. You could make the case that they lost the battle in the trenches, even though they did have that one drive where they kind of ran it on them, ran it into the end zone for the only touchdown of the game. So you got to give Georgia credit there. But they're going to be tested in a big way. I mean, Alabama's offensive line could be one of the best they see all year. Their defensive line is stout. That's about they're going to win. But here's what Kirby had to say about Alabama's defense. He said they played really hard. They've got guys flying to the ball, punching at the ball, getting the ball out, disrupting quarterbacks. They've been really disruptive in terms of things up front they do to create issues, batting balls. They're physical and fast. When you look at them, they have a depth in their front that they're able to play a lot of guys with size that are hard to move. So they do a really good job defensively. And they're multiple. They've got split safety and single high looks. They do a good job of changing it up. So, yeah, might be one of the better defenses they play all year. It's going to be a real challenge. They've got to play extremely well. It's up to the players and the coaches at this point. The talent's there. I think the roster's there. They've got enough from a talent standpoint. And, Kirby's built this program to be one where you can go on the road and win a game against one of the best teams in the country. Even a program like Alabama, that it's still great, and it still looks like they're bound for greatness at some point under the Kalen DeBoer era, even though we've only played 3 games. It's only been 3 games. I don't expect Georgia to go in there and blow Alabama out, anything like that. But I guess it could happen. We don't know. They've got to go out and execute the game plan. If they do and they play their A+ game, they could win by double digits. That's not out of the question at all. They've got to end up. They got to do it. They got to do it. but they're locked in. I just continue to hear behind the scenes, they don't like how they played against Kentucky. They are locked in. They are ready to go. And it wouldn't surprise me if they came out and had a really, really nice game. They need to. They need to start winning these games against Alabama, no matter where they play, and make a real statement that's this season if they go over there with a big win. I can see it happening. Kind of think it will happen. For more on that, stay tuned to this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Get your Bulldog today. Sign up to the Dog Post newsletter. You can read all of these Kirby quotes and more over on the website. Thanks for watching. I'll see you over there.